Hey everybody, it's Fleet Diaz again, coming to you about another episode of STD, and I will never get tired of that acronym. So I'm not going to lie, I was kind of hesitant about even bothering with this episode. Um, I heard a lot of things about it, and I just... suffice it to say, they entirely blow the lid off of Section 31 being any kind of secretive organization. So, after a little recap about everything so far, they open up with Space Sasha over here running through the hallways like a crazy person. It's this weird Michael Bay slow-mo but really fast sequence, complete with that annoying, overused heartbeat sound effect. That old trope. Then cue a sappy little speech by Burnham about words defining who we are, and we get the obvious fake out that, people think Tilly is dead. Duh, we know she isn't. It's really a dull narration by her about what was already seen in the previous episode and the trailer for this one. So then there's this whole melodramatically somber monologue is broken into by them resuming the chase for Spock's shuttle. Jesus, that whole couple minutes of internal soliloquy that she went off on made it seem like a ton of time had gone past, and they still haven't caught a slowpoke-ass 23rd century shuttle. Did F-class shuttles even have warp drive? Oh, right, this isn't original canon, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, they finally catch up, and, the shields and weapons are up on the shuttle. So Pike orders them to lower the shields and prepare for transport. But, apparently Spork isn't having it and makes a beeline for this nebula thing. So he does a little space version of a rope-a-dope, and they end up chasing him for a while until Pike has random Asian guy fire a torpedo and detonate it just shy of the shuttle so he won't vanish into the nebula. And after pulling the shuttle in, there's this whole firing line waiting for him, including Sasha. But instead of Spork, Space Hitler appears. Oh, joy! Like I'm not sick of her and the not-so-top-secret discount Section 31 in this series. I think I'm going to call him Section 32. So, Sasha gives Giorgio a serious stink eye, which had me immediately thinking, bitch, you insisted on bringing this genocidal maniac back with you from the mirror universe, and now you want to act paranoid and like you want to shoot her with a phaser? I mean, seriously, Burnham is 100% responsible for this woman being here. Yet another dodgy piece of ass-backward logic from a human supposedly trained in the Vulcan tradition. So, after all this, they go walking down the hallway together. Pike prattles on about going to the academy with Giorgio. Not this one, but, the dead one that got eaten by the Klingons. Yeah. See, he knows about the mirror universe and Lorca and all that, but he doesn't know that this is the former Empress. Okay. Anyway, Pike also knows all about Section 31. That group that Captain Archer, one of the main people behind the creation of Starfleet, and Captain Sisko, a wartime adjutant to a fleet admiral, they didn't know anything about it until one of their subordinates got roped into working for them. Okay, alright. I said I was going to stop comparing this nonsense to established canon, because we all know they're not the same. It's just the powers that be refuse to admit it, because they think hanging on to some fake scrap of legitimacy is going to keep this show and all their planned new trek afloat. Hey, good luck, guys. So Space Hitler explains that she's after Spock for reasons. And then Pike has a Skype call with Giorgio's boss waiting for him in his ready room. There's an insulting and canon-breaking nod to the original series, with Pike mentioning that this Leland guy, Giorgio's boss, this is someone else he apparently knows from way back. But apparently Leland was up to his elbows in alligators on Cestus 3. Now, I'm going to assume that alligators is slang for Gorn, because that was the planet where Kirk comically battled a Gorn in the original series episode Arena. And now, apparently, that planet was known as being world disputed by the feds and Gorn a full decade before that goofy, poorly choreographed fight scene, which, by the way, in that episode, the Federation and the Gorn hadn't even had any sort of significant encounter before that point. But yeah, apparently this Leland guy was over there messing with the Gorn, a full decade before that. Hey, okay, I promised I was going to stop, so I really, really just need to stop. It's not the same thing. They're not the same people. So anyway, Space Hitler erotically bites into an apple when Pike lets her go. There's some posturing between Sasha and Space Hitler, and this scene fails the Bechdel test because they talk about Pike, Leland, and Spock. Damn, ladies, you just can't keep these men off your minds. So anyway, Stamets talks about going to find Tilly because he figures that the gross cocoon thing is like a transporter into the mycelial network. Now, I don't watch Stranger Things, probably never will, since by the time I was thinking about looking at it, the guy that plays the sheriff had to go on that really cringy rant at the awards show, and I decided I really didn't feel like watching him on the regular. But I hear this whole mushroom realm thing in this episode reminded people of it, so, whatever. So anyway, Tilly spazzes out like she has some serious behavioral issues, and I'm just thinking she's like a far less amusing female version of Barclay now. Like, that's basically what they've done. They've turned her into like a proto Barclay. But, she doesn't have, like, I don't know, she doesn't have all of his qualities exactly. But I can see it. So anyway, she agrees to help May, the former Blob, work on saving her realm, which I guess got ravaged, with all this jumping by Stamets with that hokey drive of his. So Pike lets on that he knows Sasha has been BSing him about Giorgio and whatnot when they discuss Section 32's liaison coming aboard. Hey, it's that not sort of Klingon guy she slept and bathed with last season again. So he's going to just openly act as liaison to a group that doesn't officially exist. Great. Then we get an awkward exchange between Tilly and Blob May about a monster that entered the network when Stamets made his first jump. Or, I don't know, it was around the time he made his first jump. And Tilly agrees to help deal with the monster in exchange for May getting her home when they're done, I guess. Stamets' plan, he basically is to wedge the ship between normal space and fungus land. And he explains it fairly well to his credit, despite the guy who killed his hubby being on the bridge during the briefing. Pike agrees, though, they'll only have an hour to get Tilly before the fungus eats through the hull, I guess. So another speech later, they do the half jump so that Stamets and Sasha can leave the cube thing in the spore chamber to find Tilly. May understandably gets pissed by half a huge starship just appearing in her backyard, and Tilly pinky swears not to just bolt now that her friends are here. Yeesh. The silliness after that includes the monster apparently boarding the ship and Tilly grabbing a phaser to go hunting for it. For the record, I would not trust her with a potato gun. I'm just saying. But they end up linking up with Stamets and Sasha, and they all go to deal with this much-talked-about monster, which is apparently Stamets' dead husband, only he looks like a homeless person's mattress. So then there's a lot of weird back and forth about whether it really is the dead doctor, and the ship starts lurching and slipping further into fungus land until Tyler uses his fancy comm badge to call for help. So Section 32 shows up with their cloaked ship, and Pike gets into it with Leland again before the Spy Kids wannabes on the other ship help them avoid certain death with these tractor beam things. I don't know how to describe them. It's like they launched them, they attached to the Discovery, and then I guess there's like 3 tractor beams instead of just one. I don't know. So Stamets chases down and reminisces with his dead husband, who keeps leaving the steaming gunk everywhere, trying to convince him that he's real. They hug, and then Blob May steals Tilly's phaser to try and shoot and kill him, even though he's already dead. But Tilly talks her down, and this is when the pseudoscience really kicks into high gear. Apparently, because a tear fell out of Culber's eye when he died, and Stamets kissed his cheek, somehow that made Stamets send him the entire person who had just died into the mycelial network be reconstituted from just a tear. I mean, they try to quote thermodynamics and the conservation of energy across different states, but this is bull. It's total bull. Trek has had a lot of technobabble in the past, but this easily takes the cake from anything in any series. There's not one thing that you can point to from any of the series, from any of the films, that is as ridiculous as this. So, anyway, Cobra can't go through because different matter or some jazz, according to May. And there's this melodramatic scene which felt like it was building up to a man kiss. And it made me wonder, why the heck aren't these little spores attacking all of them? It seems like they only want to eat the doctor for some reason. I don't know, maybe they prefer Mexican. So there's another cringy pinky swear when May agrees to use the cocoon to reconstitute Hugh back into normal space. That'll close the door between worlds or whatever. Okay, so then they reverse the half jump right as Pike and everybody on the bridge is about to get twisted into a pretzel by the barrier with the fungus world. Which makes me wonder, was there people in other sections of the ship, like in comical-ass poses, trying to keep from touching it? Like, imagine someone who's on the can because the toilet is the last safe space in their quarters. May sends Hugh back through the icky cocoon, and he appears after a really forced bit of suspense. And I can honestly say I never thought I would hear a variation of the Star Trek opening theme play over naked man ass being on the screen. That's definitely not two things I ever thought would go together. So then, after that, Pike and Leland get talked down to by the Admiral lady from last season. Hey, remember when Section 31 was unaccountable to admirals and even the Federation Council or President because they were a rogue, extra-legal arm of Starfleet? I remember. Sloane would have sent this woman floating home the instant she started popping off with her best Vice Admiral Gender Studies impersonation. And that is why I miss Sloane. So anyway, Burnham gets a Skype call from Space Hitler where she assures Sasha that she won't hurt Spork when she catches up to him. You know, this tension that they're trying to build here is so fake because this psycho, I've said it before, this psycho is only here and giving people grief because she is a double of the woman that Sasha got killed in the pilot episode. And Burnham naively thought that on some level that this was the same person. Well, she's not. And all of this is your doing. So the introspective, grandstanding monologues, all of that stuff, including the one at the end of this episode, it makes me despise Burnham that much more because hearing her voice talking about all these lofty ideals when she is single-handedly responsible for pretty much every major catastrophe and problem on this show, and she is never brought to account for it. I mean, not in any lasting way. Right? Section 31 apparently answers to someone, but not her. Nope. And, you know, and then the levels of cringe when she walks onto the bridge at the end during this annoying monologue, and everyone, including Captain Pike, looks at her like she's the best thing since sliced bread. It just defies expression. You know, I held off doing this one because I heard what it was all about. But apparently next week we'll see the subplot filler BS about Saru and his race of humanoid penguins. Big shout out to the Gashing for giving me that comparison. Saru's people are damn penguins. So I'll see y'all around. Take care and remember to drop likes, comments, subs so I know I'm not just shouting into the wind here. And have a great week. Diaz out.